Parks Canada has over 30 million archaeological artifacts, historic objects, and reproductions in their collections.
We do permanent exhibits at our national parks and national historic sites. We do traveling exhibits that might go to other places. We do online types of exhibits, interactive pieces that people can learn more about a particular site through the artifacts we've discovered.
Exhibits are created with the input of a number of experts in their field. But I think what would surprise people about our activities, especially surrounding creating an exhibit, is the amount of effort and active participation that goes on.
When we're choosing artifacts or objects for exhibits, there's a lot of considerations like what sort of condition is the object in. But there's also the question of meaning. What kinds of stories do we have to tell?
Let's say we have a piece of animal bone. We look at, is there butchering marks on it? Like for instance, the Métis, there were certain butchering styles that people used. So each different type of artifact really tells a lot about a different aspect about life. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 100 years old or 5,000 years old, it's really exciting. You never know what you're going to find and learn.
Stories of the Resistance, for example, at the site of Madame Turon's cellar. What we found there would border on the mundane for a lot of people, but what we found were burnt remnants of a household, everyday items, like burnt vegetables. This was her root cellar. These were the seed crop for next year's planting, and it's poignant because she lost everything.
As a curator for Parks Canada, I decide within a group what goes on exhibit, what doesn't, what would be a good example of a particular theme that we're trying to express. A historian might say to me, I have an idea for a theme. And I say, oh, hey, I've got 3 artifacts that would fit that perfectly.
It's a creative process. What's really interesting to me is having everyone at the table and being able to bounce ideas off of each other, because an historian and a curator and a collection specialist and a conservator and an archaeologist will all have a different way of telling a story.
I look at my job as problem solving. Not everything can go on public display, so making them accessible either through photography or through making reproductions, or just by conserving and stabilizing them as they are. We want to be able to give the public the most access we can.
Perhaps these original artifacts are too fragile to withstand exhibit, but we really want people to see them. They're beautiful, they're colorful, they tell a story. We're very fortunate to have in our communities a number of Métis artists who are able to recreate the intricate designs and patterns that we find in the original artifacts.
I've always had a positive work relationship with Parks Canada. They've been very helpful, very, very supportive, very open for me to come in and have a look at the pieces. They've really got me involved with doing some replica work. It made me really look at the absolute craftsmanship of the Métis beadwork.
The beauty of Métis objects is that there are so many influences from a European perspective, from an Indigenous perspective. There's a lot more to Métis history than just, fiddles and sashes. That's the beauty of material culture in general, is the way that objects hold meaning.
The more we can get out there in terms of the collections, the more we can help Canadians value cultural heritage. These exhibits are one way we can help bring forward the stories of communities such as the Métis community.
We are working with community groups of various kinds and getting more voices into the stories that we're telling. Because if somebody goes through one of our exhibits and they see absolutely nothing of themselves, no little hook that they can hang a story or an experience or a joke or a memory on, then we've failed. right? Everybody needs to find a piece of themselves, a piece of their histories, their experiences, their lives. That's, for me, the key to a successful exhibit.